Howdy folks, Lisa here at Everything Is a Lie. I just had a quick one for us today. I wanted to rip through this while it was still kind of current. I'm sad to report we've had another fire in Perth. In one of those buildings. The hostel/hotel Milligan has been involved in a suspicious fire. So I'm just going to capture this view from Google right now before we lose that, and then we'll take a look at the rest of the building. When I say it's one of those buildings, it's not just your regular Art Deco style cover-up building. It's been referred to as a Russian doll, a building within a building. And I have seen a few of these around, so this is an interesting case. So this is apparently the 1930s facade. Also nearby this one. And looking rather 1930-ish brickwork rise on this side. Also note opposite another mud flood type building that was 3, potentially more stories, and recently had another 3 stories added because these are well built buildings. So we have a video of inside the building, and I'll pop a couple of highlights. This is the door they go in for the video, but these garages have been tacked on, and it wasn't until watching this video after looking into this recent fire that I spotted this brickwork here. So that's an old bricked up door or window. That's probably original top, not original bottom. We've got the multiple coloured bricks and one of those huge chimneys. Now he mentions in the video it's a building within a building. So from the video, just on the other side of those garages there, so that would be the roof of the garages. I think they're toilets, and there's 2 extra additions to the building at the back there and all that brickwork.
Wake up and listen.
Okay, so from above, we're on the corner of Murray Street and Milligan Street. This is the old garages, the corner where we just had a look. 1930 facade. And the original building, which they say potentially dates back to 1850 and located right in the middle of Perth City. So now you have to pretend you're shocked when I tell you it was about to be redeveloped. Of course, the fire would be nothing to do with that. These are the images of the proposed redevelopment, which worked around the Hostel Milligan, leaving the building, if you can see that in here, still intact behind this giant. Let's take a closer look from the front. So this would be the secondary building that I noted, where the empty Hertz building was, and the original Hostel Hotel Milligan. I don't know what to call it. So from the Murray Street side, this, I'm not sure what's going on quite here. If that's glassed in, maybe it is. But here showing part of the original building behind with the chimney. From WA Today, the date is interesting, 22nd of March. And it's a very curious building. I thought I would let you know what's going on here. So, we're not interested in the woman or too much about the circumstances. I just want to look at the building as an interesting case study. Emergency services were alerted to a blaze at the Hostel Milligan on the corner of Milligan Street and Murray Street in Perth's West End. Now, just to set us up, this does look a lot like a 1930s building, or it has been made to look like a 1930s building. This building over the road was a cigarette manufacturer, but looks like it was definitely mud flooded and has since been renovated and had 3 stories added. So that building is another case study to look at another day. But because this was recently involved in a suspicious fire, it caught my attention. So I won't worry too much about the details. And the other article I look at here suggests that there's been meth labs and whatnot since it's been disused. So is the fire suspicious? Is it not? I'm not here to comment on that. Orientating ourselves, the building opposite apartments overlooking the Murray-Milligan intersection, which I just discussed, stood down the road from the Melbourne Hotel, which has just recently been renovated. That's a beautiful building. And I'm yet to really look into it other than the obvious architecture. It once housed a hostel in its upper floors with a lunch bar on the ground floor, but has sat empty and boarded up in recent years. It was first built in the late 1800s. There seems to be some discussion over the date. 1800s, renovated to its current state in the early 1930s, and is central to plans for a twin tower office, residential and hotel development by Singapore-based Fragrance Group, which bought the site in 2014. I have a video from Ron Manners, a local mining magnate and bit of a celebrity, well known for his libertarianism. So an interesting man, but not what we're going to look at. We'll just look at his little video from 2015. And also to point out this strange little rise that the street is on. So there is mud flood stuff around it on Murray Street, and also to the west and east on Murray Street, and down on Wellington Street. Everything above that is level. So the Heritage Council have very little information about it, as I can see, but they've put construction at between 1886 to 1930. I don't know if they mean both buildings there. That doesn't yield us much information at all. And this is the image. Just trying to get the story straight. So this looks like is the Pearl Villa. And this would be looking from the Wellington Street side. And this is the Hostel Milligan in this part. And obviously what they're going to build. Pearl Villa will be more visible after some of the 1930s building is removed. There we go, okay. So most of the 1930s hotel that currently sits on the site will be demolished, keeping only the walls facing Murray and Milligan Street. The 1930s hotel was built around an older 1880s house known as Pearl Villa, which will mostly be retained aside from 2 internal walls. $175 million. Okay, so they'll put a published history in the new incarnation. It's goodness knows what they're going to do to it. So this Tony Ransom is an interesting man. He gives some interesting tidbits in the video if you decide to go on and watch that. He ran the hotel until October last year, when the last residents were moved out. So he said the unique heritage value is that it's like a Russian doll, a building inside a building, and shedding so much of the 1930s layer loses some of that value. This other article gives us that similar image pulled back a bit further so we can actually see the street there. That would be Wellington Street. And this is where those old garages are, on the Wellington Street side. And this is supposedly the original Pearl Villa. And I don't know where that image comes from. I can't actually find it anywhere else other than this page. And where else did it turn up? Do they give credit? I don't give a credit for the image either. But as you can see, chimneys, a little bit of metal work. I don't know if that's legit or not, but those chimneys are still there. And this is been badly boxed in at some point. So history-wise, they're giving us that it was built somewhere between 1874 and 1886 by Perla Joseph Clarkson. Still visible from Murray Street, as I noted. A reminder of the wealth that came. So we didn't just have gold rush, we had an early pearling industry as well. That's another story for another day. According to Architecture Devotees Art Deco Perth, I did have a quick look at that article and not a lot of interest there. We've already discussed that it's a building in a building. What else did I want to say? So the Clarkson family were among the first Swan River colonists. Mother Hannah Leader arrived in 1830, and Leaderville is named after her family. Okay, this is the first I'm hearing this. Uncles Michael and James Clarkson received some of the first land grants at what is now Maylands, but soon sold up to try their hand farming in the Avon district. Nothing much else we need to know there. More interest in the pearling industry, etc. The main heritage benefit will be the way in which it reveals, conserves, and in part reconstructs Pearl Villa, an element which has been hidden from view with restricted access since the 1930s. Part of the 1930 hostel wall will be removed along Murray Street, and a glass box structure will make the original building or the rebuilt version visible to the street. Oh well, it's going to be interesting. Quick zoom of that image. So there's nothing behind it. Very convenient vanilla sky. It's not a good quality image to analyse. Interesting nonetheless. I'm not sure the chimney configuration looks right. And boom, there it is. They've had to have made multiple changes to have the chimneys in that configuration. Yes, they could have roofed over one, but they haven't changed the other two. I found this article, I'll just quickly skim over the pictures more than anything. They note here $180 million. Twin Tower. Okay. So there it is there. That's where the garages are now. Maybe they are retaining more than just the facade of that building. Closer image. Inside. Ish. Look what they're doing. So basically they're demolishing the 1930s building and keeping the Pearl Villa inside. Link in the comment. And this is just a UrbX article by Street Kid Industries. They just talk about the official story. I just want to note that this was in 2019, and just have a look at a couple of the photos, because they do reveal a little bit. So this is the 1930s building, and I'm assuming this is the back of the garages. So this is the Pearl Villa here. I took a photograph of that window. That brickwork has been changed, or at least the bottom half of it has been. All the plumbing is external as well, which is quite interesting. Now, this was meant to be one of the original fireplaces, and in the video they note that these stoves are made to fit, but then looking at that, it doesn't look like it was a perfect fit, and they've had to squeeze it in there. But I'm not sure of the year of this. This is incredible. So it's quite deep too. So I would have noted that this fireplace is akin to the size of the ones in Dinton Castle. So straight away, that's what I'm seeing, and that same shape, but it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous in old buildings. I'm just going to skim through these photos because some of them are just awful. Beautiful old metal stove. They're worth a bomb these days. They called this a breezeway in the video, and there's no doorways between the two buildings. It looks like it's on fire at that point. This shows the original brickwork, so this must be looking at the villa maybe? From which side? So those curved, are they rowback arches? Is that what they're called? That looks very original. I have a better image of that. This must be the veranda inside the Pearl Villa. So this is the Milligan hostel building. This is the old garages. This is an added piece which looks to be like a kitchen area. Original chimney though. And the stairwell, which in the video is quite interesting. Hang on, we'll take a look at that now. I thought this bit was kind of curious, where they go down the stairs, and I didn't notice it immediately on the way in, but they've closed that office area in, so that's the office area under there. That might be where another stairwell went downwards. Just a thought. I've seen it before in other mudflood buildings. And this is showing the step down at the back, but really hard to tell. And that's all toilets, I'm assuming, out the back.
From the green carpet outwards, that's the 1930 part.
Okay.
That's 1930. This part is 1887. Be the old villa.
Yep.
That's with the old doors.
Is this it? I remember this.
No, that was 1930.
Yeah.
So we could actually sit there. And
That's, I remember this well.
with the phone still there.
But I'm wondering if that's just a storeroom back there or where that little door goes. Back to Street Kid Industries. A bricked up doorway with all kinds of recycled bricks. There's the office area and the stairway. I think we're just, oh no. This is an interesting one. So they've built the back of it higher, and it looks like this bit is higher than this bit, which I just mentioned before was added on with the matching chimney. So they're giving us 1880-ish for this. Don't know about this. This has been covered up down here. This looks like it's been moved multiple times. That could be original. The steps have been added. That's the end of that. So without being able to get out the back there and behind all those gates and buildings, I can't really tell us much more, but I really can't help but wonder, was the original Pearl Villa 3 stories tall? Or even more? Let's finish with a construction image of the Hostel Milligan. This is an interesting construction image of the Hostel Milligan back in 1929, I believe. Yep, 1929. So the tram line, that's Milligan Street, that's Murray Street. And that's it, looking very much under construction. With nothing behind it either. I wonder what else was in the neighbourhood back then. So just comparing heights. This is the Willis building, which looks potentially mud flooded and has loading docks behind it, although this has been added on. So this is a hill heading up to a level, which could be a whole floor above what the original street level might have been. And this is a single story building, except for at the back. And then the rest of it has all been replaced over the years. From the east end of Murray Street, you can see how dramatically higher that side of the road is to the northern side. It's quite a rise. So from the west, this looks potentially like a mud flood building. Revamp, redo, just cover over the red brick. The Wheels building here, so again looking at street levels, this is, well, I'm going to say level 3 on the Wheels building. It is a bit higher than the Hostel Milligan. And then looking at the mud flood side, so that side definitely looks mud flooded of that building, whereas that building to me looks fairly proportionate, but I'm still not sure how many steps up or down to the Pearl Villa. And you do notice it very clearly when you drive down here, how much higher this side of the street, this side of the street is to this side. So being level on that side of the street, or fairly level, this is a high point, and it's a high point for the building over the road and this building, I think. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed that, folks. Enough mud flooding for today. Thought I'd share that one with you. Catch you soon. Take care.